Hello everybody, this is Hero of Time 91 here, and today's video I'm going to be going over why Ocarina of Time is objectively a great game. The reason why I'm doing this is across the internet, especially YouTube, it seems people are belovedly bashing it, and trying to find some way to find flaws into the game, and to denigrate people who don't like it. I'm not saying everyone's doing it, but, other people are doing this to make people think that it's not as great a game as people think that it is. Cough, Ego Raptor, cough, cough. So, and even those who do, they have really lame reasons for not liking it. Cough, Ego Raptor, cough, cough. But I'm not calling out anybody for this. The point is here is of the video is I'm going to go over, objectively why it's a good game, why it's a great game, and why those of us who think it's a great game, why we think objectively and subjectively why. Okay, so, my point is in the video, I'm not trying to say, you have to like this game. I can't force anyone to like a game. It's okay if you don't like the game for X, Y, and Z reasons. I don't like this game because this, but it's wrong to, bash people for not liking it. I mean, for liking it and saying that you shouldn't or it's not as great as you think it is. Like me personally, I don't like Twilight Princess. I think Twilight Princess is one of the worst 3D Zelda games. But you don't see me go around bashing people, that they like it or it's their favorite game. If it's their favorite game, that's fine. I have my reasons for not liking it, but is it a good game? Yes. Is it good by Zelda standards? My opinion, no. Okay. So going on. Number one of why, and I'm not going to number, but one of the first reasons I would say for why Ocarina of Time is a great game is this. Okay. Is that it has clear objectives in the game. Okay? And by this, you know clearly what you're supposed to do next. You may not know how, you may not know, like I said, the details of how, but you know where you're supposed to go and you know why you're supposed to do it. How does this help? Well, let me give a specific example. You start the game out in Kokiri Forest, the Great Deku summons you, and so you try to go see him. Mino blocks the way. He won't let you go unless you have a sword and a shield, so you gotta go look for a sword and a shield. You find your sword, you get your rupees, you buy a shield, he allows you to go in. The Deku Tree tells you, there's a curse upon him, and he needs you to break the curse. So you go in there, you battle the enemies, you get your slingshot, you go down to battle the boss, you defeat it, then you break the curse, you break the curse, but Deku tells you that it was all in vain, and that he's about to die, and he tells you these last words. He gives you the emerald, tells you, if I remember correctly, you gotta go collect the other 3 spiritual stones. And you need to go meet Zelda in Hyrule Castle. And so that's what he does. So in other words, and he basically explains to you that this evil man, I think if I remember correctly, he mentioned it's Ganondorf, this man did it to him, this wizard, sorcerer. And that's what happens. So as a result, okay, I need to go to Hyrule Castle to meet Zelda so I can learn the whereabouts of the other stones, and, I need to find out who this man is so I can stop him. And so that's what you do. And that's what's good about the clear objectives. The second part of Ocarina of Time and why it's a great game is that it has varied things, tasks, and stuff in the game. There's no padding in it. There's a bunch of variances in what you're doing. In other words, there's no this is the fighting sequence of the game, this long portion, or this is a long puzzle game, or this is the long, fetch quest part of the game. You don't have that, which helps out making it good. There's no artificial padding, sort of like you have in Skyward Sword with the Song of the Hero, or with Wind Waker, the Triforce chart and translating side quest, So we have this here, and that's what kind of makes it. That's what makes it great, is because you do not spend more than 8 minutes on a single task on average in the game. Third part is we have a manageable world size in Ocarina of Time. In Ocarina of Time, the world looks big when you start out in it, but as you progress through the game, it becomes much more easier to navigate. Once you get the opponent, especially, that definitely helps out. Also, your Ocarina warp songs help out tremendously in what it deems to accomplish. Not only this, but in Ocarina of Time, your objective is to save the world. In games that you save the world, they usually have you explore most of the world you're going to save. Well, guess what? When you're going out exploring the world you're supposed to save, you learn that basically only 1% of the world is inhabited. And so, not only that, but you and your party may be the only ones that know that the world's in danger and in need of saving. And in some games, when you do this and you save the world, nobody really knows the world's in danger, and there's no difference in the world before you saved it and afterwards, which is really a shame and takes a little deflating right there in your attitude. So, for me, I'm sure others as well, not everyone, but for me, if I'm playing a game where my main objective is to save the world, I want people to know about it. Okay? I want people to know. In this, Ocarina of Time accomplishes both. You know something is going down when you're an adult after you pull the Master Sword, and people see word afterwards, especially like when Ganondorf flees Hyrule Castle the first time, chasing after Zelda. You know, the people in Castle, you talk to them, they're like, "What's going on here? Why was Ganondorf? What was that man chasing Zelda for? Where are they going?" They see this, and then afterwards, like when you're an adult and you see Death Mountain, the Fire Arena about it, people are talking about it in the clouds and everything. They talk about speak to others. They talk about Lake Hylia, drying up, and the frozenness of Zora's domain. We see all this stuff, and so when we undo it, people talk about it. And that's what greatly helps in making this game distinguished from other ones. Not only that, but every area is populated. Hyrule Field is populated with Lon Lon Ranch. You got the Kokiri and Kokiri Forest. You got the Gerudo in the Gerudo Fortress. You have the Gorons in Death Mountain. You got Kakariko Village. You got Hyrule Castle Town being populated, excuse me, and of course, the world isn't barren like in Wind Waker, It isn't barren like Twilight Princess, where you have this castle town with lots of people, but you can't really talk to many of them. Or Kakariko, that's basically deserted and a hidden village with one person and a bunch of cats. This isn't like that at all. And when you start undoing all this, people start having hope that Hyrule can become restored. Now we're going to be going into the story elements of this game that make it a great game. First part is it has classic character archetypes. Okay, we have Link, who's the hero who is courageous and possesses great potential for success. We have Zelda, who's the noble maiden who possesses purity and innocence, who is threatened by the sorcerer, obviously Ganondorf, who symbolizes limitless and unjustifiable evil. Not only that, but we have, the owl character, Caber Gaebra, actually, Hyrule's story reveals it to be Rauru, my bad, but that's the owl's name, yes. And who the owl represents, the wisdom in helping guide the player, and giving the player advice so that the player doesn't feel daunted. Next, we have, with the classic character archetypes, we also have the story in and of itself. What makes Ocarina of Time a great story is that it's the classic coming of age story. We desire stories where characters that face insurmountable odds and that they will never seem to meet. Like those many sports films that we see the underdog going up against and winning despite, the flaws or the odds stacked up in themselves against the superior talented team or player. However, with teams or players or characters in these stories, with self-determination, they courageously move forward and confidently by persevering, they succeed in their goals. Ocarina of Time does this to enhance this down in spades. I mean, you start as Link, in Kokiri Forest, a helpless little boy. You have a sword, which is really a knife, and you have a piece of wood as your shield. A little chunk of wood is your shield, wooden slabs, and that's it. And, not only that, but you can't pull up grass, you can't throw bomb flowers, you're too weak to do that. You can't even dive more than 5 feet. Yet, when you become an adult and by getting proper equipment, you can finally accomplish way more than what you could originally. You can pretty much dive down to Lake Hylia, you finally have an actual shield, you have an actual sword, not only this, but you become a more fully fledged hero. You master archery, navigation, swordplay, magical offense and defense. Through Din's fire and through Nehru's love. Your physical strength is monstrous, and there's many other things that you're character Link is great at, that you yourself are, you know? And so, I mean, not only this, but you've battled numerous enemies and monsters. You've traversed all harsh environments, from forests, volcanoes, and lakes to frozen tundra and deserts. You know, another part of story element is becoming something, part of something greater than yourself. The chosen one, the prophecy, destiny. We hear these terms, countless others like them in other works of media. And it's something that lots of us desire. Many of us desire, in fact. We all dream of being part of something bigger than ourselves, and that we are part of the grand scheme laid out before us, that we were born to succeed and change the world for the better. Games and other stories like, that involve saving the world, from a great evil that threatens to doom us all. And playing Ocarina of Time lets us feel that and experience those desires to the great effect as Link. We get to experience this to a great effect. We see the awfulness that Ganondorf does. When we see Kokiri Forest infested with monsters, we see. Oh, this is again my next point. Let me go on. Another part that makes it great is this: the enemy success. Many games know the big bad is a serious threat and know its intentions. Games where we successfully defeat the big bad before the big bad catastrophe happens. Sadly, when this happens, when those games that happen, I mean, maybe great, but if we fail, we're just loaded to a previous save. Some games may add something different, like Chrono Trigger, where if you fail, you see the big bad pretty much destroying the world, and people are helpless and nothing happens. And we see that, oh, fulfill me your little title theme, and the future refused to be changed. But the future refused to be changed. Over time kind of changes this aspect. After we pull the Master Sword as Link, we clearly see the damage that Ganondorf has done. All the little stuff he did, like the Deku Tree, cursing the Deku Tree, blocking Goron, Dodonko's cover from the Gorons, and sending monsters and stuff and sickness on Jabu Jabu. That's just child's play. We come out of there. Hyrule Castle pretty much destroyed, and it's a barren wasteland, and there's nothing but redeads replaced there. When I was a kid, playing it, I thought, for a long time that those were the people that didn't make it, and Ganondorf turned the people into monsters, but in actuality, those are just monsters in and of themselves. They're not hot themselves. So, I mean, it has a forbidding atmosphere there. You have the fiery arena above Death Mountain. When you first step out, something's really bad's happening after you go to the Temple of Time. Then we see, Lake Helios, a grand, beautiful lake, is little more than a little tiny little pond that's shriveled up, infested with monsters everywhere. You see your hometown, Kokiri Forest, your home area, infested with monsters with Kokiri, like scared and in houses. Goron, Death Mountain is pretty much deserted besides two Gorons, really. And because of this, all the other Gorons are trapped inside jail cells, and Ganondorf's going to feed them to Volvagia to be a representation showing others, this is what's going to happen to you if you disobey me. And so not only do we have this, but we also have Zoro's domains basically frozen over, and all the Zoro are trapped in the ice for the most part. And so we see all this great stuff, and as we go along, we notice this is serious. And that's what's great about it. We finally see Ganondorf conquering Hyrule. Now, there's an even greater threat if we fail, but we've seen what he's done that's awful, and then we have to undo this while also wanting to oust him out from ruling Hyrule. So, now, the last part that makes Ocarina of Time great is this. I mean, it has great story elements that I've just gone over. It has great gameplay elements, like, with Link, finally coming of age, where he can finally, through his equipment, that's how his character gets developed, It doesn't have traditional character development, but we become more of a man, we become a fully fledged hero when we start getting all this equipment where we can travel more, we can have better defense, we have more magical stamina, we have a long shot that upgrades our hook shot so we can traverse hazardous terrain. We have, we've experienced everything pretty much that is Link traveling the world and undoing all the harm that Ganondorf does. And so it also has good plot twists, but everyone and their mom probably knows it by now, and if they don't, go play the game experience for yourself, because I don't want to spoil it. But it has this. But one thing that really helps out is basically, and it just has a really great soundtrack. It just does. I mean, every area, there's varied environments, and Nintendo goes above and beyond in making them where you experience the atmosphere of it. For example, I mean, underneath the well and the Shadow Temple is eerily scary. Other games and other stuff, you can put some spooky little ghosts there. You can, maybe put some mummies, put some scary, creepy music. But Nintendo goes above and beyond. You have traps, you have hidden passageways, you have hidden enemies that can come out and get you from nowhere. You know, they just have the design. They go above and beyond it there. And there's other areas too. I mean, every area has music that fits the area. And so that's what makes it awesome. Like the catchy upbeatness of Kokiri Forest to the majesticness of Zora's the majesticness and the it's hard to describe, like the vacationy kind of feel of Zora's domain. Maybe not like a tropical beach, but it has that majesty but peacefulness to it when you go there. I mean, every area has. I mean, a fan favorite by far is the Gerudo Valley theme. I mean, it's a very classic, good theme right there. Those are all the stuff that just makes it great. And it helps out. Not only that, but the ocarina is woven into the plot. I mean, ocarina, we learn warp songs from it. We learn all these magical things we can do with the ocarina, whether it comes to making it rain, to solving puzzles, and other stuff that it helps out. And Nintendo beautifully implemented it, made it a good part of it. And even not even just the songs for the main areas, but the little jingles themselves also help out. Like when you open up a chest, when you have the puzzle theme, when you solve it, playing. It just helps bring it back. And so that's what this makes it great. You may not like it, you may think it's okay, and that's fine. You're allowed to have your own opinion. But to say Ocarina of Time's a horrible game, to say it's terrible or it just sucks, that's a wrong opinion as an action adventure game. There are wrong opinions. Just like saying LeBron James is the worst basketball player ever, or he's just a terrible basketball player. If you said it, I mean, objectively, that's wrong. Now, if you say, well, I think LeBron James isn't a great basketball player based on my standards of it, okay, that's fine. But you can't say he sucks. I mean, Ocarina of Time is a great game. Does it have flaws? Yes, it has flaws. Of course, every great game has flaws. You know, and I'm speaking this, and it's not my favorite game. It used to be my favorite game, Ocarina of Time in the Zelda series, but I mean, my favorite game still is the Wind Waker now. And it has been for a while. So I mean, this is my favorite game. I enjoy it more, even though I think Ocarina of Time, is still as a whole better than Wind Waker. But I mean, Wind Waker's a very close second in my opinion. But I still like Wind Waker and enjoy it more. And so I mean, also historically, I mean, what helped Ocarina of Time in its popularity today and still making it great is basically this. Ocarina of Time was the perfect game at the right time. It'd been helped out if it came out a year or two earlier, a year earlier especially, but in 98 when it came out, this was the game that pretty much put the Zelda series on the map. Zelda was a small niche community. It was still somewhat popular, but Ocarina of Time pretty much put it on the map and made it where or not everyone maybe, but many people know who Link is. They know who Zelda is. And this is what just helped solidify Zelda into being Nintendo's big three with Mario, Zelda, and Pokemon. Not only this, but I mean, it's part of the Zelda series. If Ocarina of Time was its own standalone game and they didn't have any more sequels or any parts in the series, would it still be a great game? Yes. But would it be as famous and beloved and well known by others? No. Well, if it was the last game in the Zelda series, would it be a great game still? Yes. Would it still be as beloved by many people outside of the Zelda series to get into it? No. This is what, made it a grand, majestical game. And so, I mean, other than this, I mean, does nostalgia have a factor into it? Yes, but nostalgia isn't something to be ashamed of, Nostalgia is what any great game developer would want to implement into a video game. They want their project to be well remembered and well respected by fans many years down. But I mean, the reasons I went over to Ocarina of Time help explain the lasting nostalgia appeal for it and why in and of itself it's still a good game. It's still a great game, objectively speaking. You may not like it. You may not have your tendencies that you want. But I mean, it's still objectively a great game. You're okay to say it's not my cup of tea. So, I mean, that's the thing there. But I mean, if we're going to criticize a game, I'll go over its flaws, briefly. I mean, Majora's Mask fixed this, but the ice arrows could have been implemented a lot better, with more puzzles in it, involved with it. But Majora's Mask, like I said, and Wind Waker especially helped fix this. Number 2 is Zora's Domain when it's frozen after you defeat the boss in the water temple. It's still unfrozen. I mean, it's still frozen. And that kind of put a damper on me when I played. I was like, that's really sad. I wish they would have fixed that. That's some flaws there, you know. I mean, another part is, I mean, the puzzles and dungeons and bosses were good, but I mean, it'd be better if they made I mean, at first time it was good, but I mean, puzzles are a lot better today. Like Twilight Princess is, I think, does best in the dungeon department for Zelda games. That, and I think Skyward Sword does great at puzzles. But I mean, Twilight Princess and Skyward Sword especially have lots of unique puzzles. By Wind Waker, you know, the puzzles were kind of getting stale. It was the same block push over here, light lamps, you know, defeat all the enemies. It was kind of hit the ice switch with the arrow. It was that kind of stuff, you know. Twilight Princess and Skyward Sword helped fix them, especially with Link Between Worlds, definitely. And I mean, other than that, also another little nitpick I'd have with Ocarina of Time would be it'd be cool if you could absorb Ganon's magical balls, you know, magical source. I know people are gonna be laughing; they're immature mind, but I mean, when he sends those magical balls at you, it'd been better if your mirror show could absorb it and send it back at him or something. That would be kind of cooler, in my opinion. But other than that, I hope you enjoyed my video. Hope you like listening to it. You know, if you have any, please, if you want to, comment below about what your favorite Zelda game is and why. You know, and also if you want to, what's your least favorite Zelda game and why. I'd like to hear it. And so thanks for listening. And if you haven't already, if you like Zelda updates and stuff like this, please subscribe to my channel. And may you have a blessed day.